So the way that our business model is set up is from an idea that I thought about when I started. I didn't think about the customer as much as I thought about how hard it would be to replicate us. I thought that the business was going to go sky fucking high right away. So I'm like, somebody has to, like, they're going to want to copy me, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be at the top. And so, I'm going to make sure that people can't copy me.
Right.
So then I made, the menu change every week, and there's 3 different meals. And then there was a standard plan and a lean plan. And that's all hard to navigate because you got to have labels in advance. They have to be made. You have to have like an automated way of making labels. And a dietitian has to make them if you're going to say this is crafted by a dietitian, right? And this is quote unquote healthy. So I tried to make it a hard business model to replicate rather than a business model that makes sense. So that shift with our HACCP plan is going to change everything.
Right.
That's
such a good piece of advice though. Like I don't want to just scroll past that because you were selfishly building what you wanted to build.
Yes.
With some idea that this is a good solution for the customer.
Yeah.
And from everything you're saying, that's slowly shifting to what's the best end game for the customer? What's going to make them the happiest? Make it as easy for them to buy the product. Remove all the obstacles, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's too expensive. It doesn't last long enough. What if I don't eat it?
Yeah.
And this HACCP plan solves that. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You just kind of stumbled on that over time, or was there a distinct?
Well, truth be told, I had no idea I needed a HACCP plan. So let me walk you through just a painful lesson in business. And that's why I was commenting before we started. I'm like, dude, you fucking set yourself up. Like you just do the research and you do so much analysis before you start. And I'm like the opposite.
Yeah.
Like if I see a pain point and it's hitting me every single week, like bam, 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 I'm like, all right, I'm shifting now.
Sure.
Because there's a reason. That's like my gut, like that I'm kind of guiding off of a little bit. But it came from container cost. Our container cost went from, it was 25 cents for the bottom and the top of the container. And it's up to almost 75 cents now.
Yeah. Triple. Wow.
Yeah. And so I'm looking into like other containers. I'm like, okay, trays, like what, like thinner plastic? Is this going to be microwave safe? And then I stumbled across some trays that were vacuum skin packaged. I'm like, oh, those trays look nice. And then it was perfect online. It had a little meal in it. And I was like, this looks good. It's cool. Like it looks almost 3D. There's a meal that is sucked down by plastic on a tray. How much are the trays? 18 cents. How much is the film? It's like 2 cents to go over 2 meals. So it's really 1 cent. And I'm like, oh shoot, okay. Well, this could be something. So how do I do this? Do I just get one of those vacuum sealers that you have, in your house? And I start looking at it. And then I came across this YouTube video of a vacuum skin packaging machine. It was called the Retray 30. And so this machine, you'll put 2 trays in, put the meals, or put the 2 trays in with the meals, you push it in, and then it VSPs your meal, you bring it out. And I'm like, vacuum skin packaging. Like, I go see that at Sam's Club, and the salmon there lasts for like 14 days. Right. Maybe that'll extend my shelf life too.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, and then I start looking at vacuum skin package machines. And they're like $40,000. I'm like, oh shit, that's a roadblock. Like, do I have the money? At the time I had the money. I'm like, maybe I should invest in it. So I did my research on the cost of the tray. I did my research on the VSP machine. I did my research on the film, where I was going to get it. I even got these like biodegradable trays and whatnot. I'm like, boom, I'm bringing this machine and I'm going to start VSPing meals.
You're going to kill it.
Yeah. So
been there, done that.
Yeah, so after I had done all the research, 1 week later, we have a guy come in to do our county health inspection. Yeah. And we're going through, dude, we got like 100%. It was the best inspection I've ever got. We were so ready for it. It worked out great. And at the very end, I just told him, hey, so I'm thinking about like vacuum skin packaging meals really soon so that, we can extend the shelf life on our meals. And he was like, vacuum skin package, what's that? And I knew at that moment, like, oh shit, I that they have this huge process behind it. He's like, is that like reduced oxygen? And I'm like, yeah, there's no oxygen in the container. And he's like, oh my gosh, like listeria can grow in there, and Clostridium botulinum can grow in there, and that has like a 40% death rate. Did you know that? And I'm like, yeah, I know that, man. Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, I knew that was gonna happen. I just want to let you know, Yeah. And I just kind of like bullshitted a little bit. And he's like, yeah, you're gonna have to have a HACCP plan. And I'm like, what do you mean?
What's that?
Yeah. And then that's when I had to go down the road. And then I had to look in, and then he's like, yeah, and you can't ride it either. Now that I know, like I could ride it. It's just like there's a literal food scientist that did our HACCP plan for us.
Yeah.
So then that's a whole nother 8 to 10 grand on top of the machine, on top of the containers. And by the way, the containers, you got to get a pallet. You know what I mean? The trays. Same thing with the film. So then I started to realize, like, shit, this is a long, drawn-out process. And I went and purchased this machine. I already had a deposit of 25 grand on this machine when he was in the kitchen.
Right.
And so then it all came full circle. And now we're in the point of meeting with him and whatnot. But yeah, there was.
But, I mean, I think that the lesson in that is, like, again, pain point, go solve it. Creates another pain point. You can give up, quit, stop trying.
Yeah.
Or you can realize that there's opportunity in that, which is, if it's hard for me to get it done, it's going to be hard for everybody to get done.
Oh, absolutely.
And I just don't know if there's any way to ever completely remove the risk of that type of stuff when you start a business.
Absolutely not.
And most people they create a plan, but planning's completely useless when you get into it. But the only way to discover those types of things is to just be in the game.
Yeah.
You got to be a player. You can't be an armchair quarterback. Even side hustling at a certain point, you got to like pull the ripcord and just go all in order to actually grow the business.
Yeah, man. And the forecasting, like you can research yourself to death.
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's one thing where I've kind of learned through trial and error that, yeah, I can research and I can put everything together really, really organized. By the time I do that, it's 6 months down the road. It's a year down the road.
Yep.
Because I have 3 kids.
Yep. And
I have a business to run, and I have other things that pop up, and I got to work 16 hours this day, and I have to get this bid and this proposal ready for, this government entity, and I have a new employee starting, and I need to send them credentials so that they can log into their time tracking, and I have all these millions of little things to do. Oh yeah, and I forget, I got to go to gymnastics too, right? Oh, and then my wife needs a little love too, right? Like
you got to hit the gym somewhere in the middle of that.
Yeah, and then I got to hit the gym. So I've just learned, like, dude, I can research myself to death, or I can be like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a decision, and I'm going to make it right.
Yep.